Hatch plans to introduce an amendment with Senator Ben Nelson, one of those key moderate Democrats, that is similar to the Stupak amendment attached to the House bill. And Senator Orrin Hatch now joins us on Capitol Hill with the snow in the background. The Senate is at work on a Saturday. How are you, Senator?
Well, I'm doing fine. How are you, Brian?
Talk to me about your amendment and what you hope to accomplish.
Well, of course, what we're trying to do is basically put into law the Hyde Amendment, which has to be re-upped every year on the Labor and Human Resources Appropriations Bill. And what we'd like to do is just make it clear that taxpayers should not have to fund abortions. You know, the vast majority of people in this country, including pro-choice people, believe that the taxpayers should not be called upon to pay for abortions through their taxes. And that's all we're trying to do, plus one other thing. We believe that people of conscience, in other words, people who are opposed to abortion, should not be forced to participate in the act of abortion or in helping to facilitate abortions. And it's just a matter of conscience. And frankly, those are two things I think the Democrats ought to agree with. They haven't so far, and we'll just have to see what happens.
Well, I mean, let's just be honest. Do you think you can get the votes you need to have this matter prevail?
I doubt that we will, but I do believe that they'll try and come up with something that'll be, I wish, that will not please those who are really trying to resolve these problems, but will look like I wish that they can try and sell to the American people in the end.
Well, Senator, doesn't that just kick the problem down the road then? Because there are some senators on record, even on the Democratic side of the ticket, who say they can't support this health care reform if it doesn't have some Stupak-like language.
Well, that's right, and I think there are a number of them who really can't support it, and shouldn't support it, and I don't think if they try to eyewash this thing and trying to, phony it up, I don't think they should support that either. But that may be what's in the making here. I think there's going to be a manager's package that will try to please everybody because they have to get the bill out of the Senate. If they get the bill out of the Senate, then they go to conference with the House, and then they'll come up with what they really want, and at that point it'll be as bad as this. And frankly, when you look at all the taxes and the expenditures and the mandates and employer mandates and of course the employer taxes and employee taxes, it's just unbelievable what they're trying to do to America. And the $2.5 trillion actual cost of this thing, if you really extrapolate it fairly once it's implemented.
Senator, you and I have known each other for a lot of years, and I know that you're a pretty shrewd observer of how the Senate works. Are we in a situation right now where it looks increasingly difficult for Democrats to come up with some kind of measure that can get 60 votes? It seems that the politics are not developing the way the Democrats would like them to develop.
Well, they have 60 votes. The question is whether they can get to 3 or 4 that really are racing Cain about it together, and I think they'll do whatever it takes to do that to get the bill out of the Senate, because once they go to conference, whatever they come up with, I think they'll try and do it through reconciliation, which would really be an abuse of the rules. The purpose of that, of course, is to get the vote level down in the Senate to only 51%. And if they can do that, they can pass just about anything they want to, because there's an arrogance of power on the part of the Democrats. The American people have given them 60 votes in the Senate, and that arrogance of power, they're absolutely sure they can get this bill through in the end if they can get it out of the Senate to begin with. So this is an important vote. When it comes up in the Senate, it's the vote whether or not we're going to be saddled with the most awful health care approach that I've ever seen in my life.
Senator Orrin Hatch working on Saturday, joining us live from the snowy Senate ground.